Welcome in, race fans, to another edition of In the Dirt. I'm your host, Webb Dillard, healing up nicely. Had a little surgery, no big deal. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal, but it's nice to know that it's going to heal up nicely for me. And without further ado,
what's up, Webb Dillard?
Chillaxin'.
Whew, rough weekend.
You ain't a kidding.
Yeah. How's that recovery coming?
Not bad. For those of you who don't know, went in and had a preemptive
Went into
strike.
rehab, drinking problem.
Started my own VH1 behind the music over the weekend. No, I had a hernia trying to work up, and instead of being 500 miles from the house, I went ahead and took care of it. No races on the schedule. And either I'm the toughest man alive, or it's really just not that bad of a surgery. Because I was at T-ball on Saturday.
I've heard some people say it's bad, and then other people say, oh, it's nothing, they get over it pretty quick. But I guess it just depends on how good a shape you're in.
I don't know if you've seen me lately, but I'm in immaculate shape. If you can get that way off dark beers and boiled peanuts.
I don't know, a lot of protein in peanuts.
Well, I didn't do anything else. I had a hernia. Can I take y'all on a little trip to Crazy Town?
Sure. I'm in Crazy Town every day.
I was going to say, you probably inside the city limits, too.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know this is a racing show, but it's pertinent for this reason. Racing people, believe it or not, have got some damn sense compared to the stick and ball people. So, and we won't go too much detail, but I'm helping coach my little girl's T-ball team. There is a coach. He has the title, and I'm just there to help. So anyway, we got this kid that runs the bases, and he misses the base. And I try to teach mistakes when they're made and make them learn. Well, I got ostracized because I told on my team by the parents of this child on my team who missed the bag twice in 2 weeks are acting like there's no integrity in T-ball. So is that something common? Are people lost their damn mind everywhere at the baseball fields?
Dude, I don't know. I thought it was crazy when they started giving every one of the kids trophies, no matter whether they won or lost. And people said that I was being just a jerk.
Well, I can say that at 5, everybody deserves a trophy and a pizza party. But
party? Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with the pizza party. I don't know about the trophy. Whether you're going to, they need to strive for something.
I understand. But at 5, they should only be trying to grasp the game.
True.
And winning and losing shouldn't be the most important, because life's full of disappointments. And even in racing, there's only one winner. True.
Right.
But there's a thing, you got to learn before you, I think you got to learn the race the right way, or play baseball the right way before you can win.
You already got people on the line there, Webb.
Bring me that.
They're already firing up. What did we do? All we're doing is talking about T-ball.
I don't know.
Winning and losing.
Let's see who we got.
Is it like should you just take random pick?
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to shuffle and Kentucky wins.
Okay. Go ahead, caller. Hello.
You're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Robby Hensley.
What's
Hensley.
up, Big Show?
What's going on?
Well, Robby, we've opened the show with. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what.
We opened the show with T-ball. Do you think every kid should get a trophy in T-ball, no matter what, win or lose?
Well, yeah.
Everybody gets a trophy.
5 years old.
They're kids.
Okay, do you think I should have the right to beat the hell out of parents who are jackasses? You don't have to answer.
Not in front of the kids.
I will say it depends there. That's
okay. I'm just kidding. No,
all right. Fair. Here's a reasonable question. You ever wanted to beat the crap out of some other kid's parents yet?
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Let's be honest here. We all have.
Yeah. I was trying to teach a kid how to touch first base instead of walking over it, and Mom and Dad acted like I had lost my mind because I told on the team. I said, well, integrity is part of the game.
Right. Some parents don't understand that, though.
No, they don't.
You're going to have to overlook some people.
Now, we tried to get you on last week because Mr. Hensley took probably the most notable of rides last week up at Florence. Are you guys getting the car put back together, and more importantly, are you feeling okay?
Yeah, we actually just got done loading up really what was left of the car and heading up the Rocket in the morning to bolt stuff on the new car. We should be heading back with the new Rocket car Wednesday afternoon. So we are hoping to make the show Saturday. It's going to be real close time-wise, but as far as I go, health-wise, I'm much better than what I was. Last week was pretty rough. Banged my knees up real good. Went and got x-rays and stuff like that, but everything came back okay. Shoulder and back pain went away, so I'm about 90%.
And you guys come off of turn 4 there, and you had a car above you and a car on the outside of you. Was it a situation of everybody in the same part of the racetrack, or what was your interpretation of right before the incident?
Well, being on that rough of a track doesn't help matters anything, but me and Janowski were real fast. We were coming up on lap cars so quick. I think it was a mixture of me running up on the lap cars and the rough track and all of us kind of coming there 3 wide. And I don't put any blame on anybody. Maybe I probably shouldn't have stuck my nose in there at that time, but every time I ran up on lap traffic, Janowski was there. So I knew I had to go, and I went for it. And I guess it just didn't pay off. It didn't work out the way I thought it was. I did feel like I got sandwiched, sort of smashed in there, but that's part of racing, and I don't think anybody did anything intentionally.
Yeah.
Now here's the strange twist of all of these occurrences came to a peak, I would say, Friday night at Moeller's. Kind of the same scenario. And I think you're probably aware of Mr. Roberson's nasty little flip down the front stretch at Moeller Friday night. Except this time it was the lap car that was in the way of now, see, Robby was leading the race, pushing his way through, and it just didn't work out for him. And then, a twist of fate, and Jason Jameson came up on the lap car, and then Oberson happened to be kind of in about the same spot that Robby was if you switch the scenarios. Does that make sense, Webb?
Yeah.
So the question I guess I'm getting at is, after everything's all said and done, if you could do it all over again, are you going to let Janowski pass you, or are you still pushing it?
Well, he passed me once, and I got back by him. If I had to do it over again, I probably would have lifted and then maybe went for the shoot the gap on down the straightaway or through the next corner, because I feel like I was, that I may have got back around him.
Because, it just looked like it looked like you all got to about the start-finish line at the same time. And I don't know if you hit a rut but you just went over quickly.
Yeah. Everything happened so quick. It was like we were sandwiched, and the next thing I know, I was up sideways looking at the dirt.
Now, do you recall the whole ride, or?
Yeah, I never lost consciousness.
I mean, so easily the toughest lick you've taken?
Oh, I've never had a bad wreck before. I've had little fender benders here and there, and that one really rung my bell.
Well, we had Steve Baker on of Rocket last week, and since we couldn't get you guys on, and what was his what did he tell you when you guys got to Rocket after he looked at the car?
Well, he told me we was going to put it on the jig and take a look at it. He seen where right in the middle of the car was tweaked, and he said that wasn't a good sign. And the chassis guys got it on the jig, and they shook our head no at us, and that was it. They pretty much told us we had a pretzel.
So, I mean, with that kind of, obviously the car did its job and protected you, whatever, and the seat you were using did its job and protected you. I mean, is that just cement in your mind that Rocket's the chassis you need, and Steve and those guys are the guys you need to work with when it comes to the safety of your personal being?
Yeah, I really think so, because as much as they're worried about how fast their cars go, they are worried about safety too. And you see guys with the Hans device, and you see guys with these $3,000 racing seats, and you see the Chrome Ollie chassis, you see how they hold up, and, I can't thank Rocket Chassis enough for taking the time to look into the safety issues. And, and another thing, Scott James, who I owe a lot of credit to, he told me, we need to order you a raised cage. You need at least 2 inches. And I'll be truthfully honest, if I hadn't had those 2 inches, I could be dead or seriously hurt.
And for people listening who don't know what the race cage is, it just gives you that much more headroom. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. If I get in a regular Rocket car, my helmet
Robby's
touches the
Robby's
bars.
a big guy.
Got you. Oh, Ray.
And I'm not saying Robby is a tall guy.
I'm 6'5.5".
So yeah, that's what I would need. You said a raised cage.
Yeah, basically the whole top of the roll cage is up an extra 2 inches.
Wow. So that yeah.
I recommend anybody 6'3" and up to look into that.
Now, what was it like? Did the guys get there quick enough? Did they have to cut you out? What was the process right after everything stopped?
Well, honestly, as soon as I landed, I started hearing people yell my name, and I heard the EMTs come. And honestly, it felt like they were there maybe 5 to 10 seconds. As soon as I landed, they were there. And honestly, I was pretty dazed. But like I said, my knees hurt. They were literally not numb, and I was trying to rub them and kind of catch my breath and, get settled down for a minute. But the EMTs made me feel really good. They unhooked me and took my helmet off, and once I told them how bad I was, they just ripped the roof right off. And they said, when you feel like coming out, we'll be here waiting on you. So I took a couple deep breaths, and I climbed on out of there.
And how long have you been racing prior to this incident, and what was the toughest lick prior?
I started in 2006. The hardest lick I can ever really think of, probably a Beldora. I got spun, and O'Neill came around with nowhere to go and hit me in the side, and it jerked me around pretty good. My neck and shoulders were sore. So
none of this. Obviously you want to get the car back together. You want to get back in there, finish the season.
Yeah, we're tight on money. You know, this has really killed us, but we're going to keep on at it and see if we can't turn our look around.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on and talk about it. It's really a way to let other people know that the things that are in place are there to help them and keep them safe in an accident. You know, are you wearing a Hans or any kind of restraint?
You know, I wasn't wearing a Hans, but I'll be getting one. Because I feel like if I hadn't had that, or if I would have had one, excuse me, I wouldn't have had the neck and shoulder pain that I had for the next week.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, Rob, I appreciate being on. Before we let you guys get off there, I want you to thank any sponsors you guys have and the crew that helps you guys run every week, and then, of course, any of the guys that helped you get out of that race car.
I first need to thank my dad. He's the only reason why I get to do this. He's all the support, money, racing, he pays for everything. Secondly, I have to thank Scott James. His shark cars are real good. I've never had a faster car, and he's very good to me, and he takes care of me and lets me know what I need to do to the car in what situations. I got to thank my crew. I got Mike Wilson and Tammy Wilson and their son Josh. Let's see. I got to thank Mark Richards and Steve Baker up there. And as far as all the EMT guys and everybody that's helped me, and then I got to thank Jeff Razor. He let me run his car last week. And I got to thank Larry Moreland. He let me run his late model last week.
Well, when you guys, I'll call you on a better note this next time I have you on. How about that?
That sounds good. Let's get a win or something.
Yeah, that's
then we'll
right.
talk.
Yeah. Well, so I promise you that. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us. And like I promised, you guys get a win, give me a call or hit me up on Facebook, and we'll celebrate a win. And I'm glad you're okay, guy.
All right. I appreciate you having me on, and thank you guys.
All right. Well, you guys be safe and get back out there racing.
All right. Thank you, sir.
That's pretty cool, huh, Brian?
The big show.
Big show.
Yeah. Yeah, Robby's a pretty big dude, man. I'll tell you one thing: you don't want to run into him in the middle of the night at some bar somewhere and be talking smack to anybody.
Is his kid play t-ball?
I don't know if they're old enough yet.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
There's not many of the t-ball that I can't take, even with a hernia.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring on our guy on hold real quick. Mr. Scott Autry, the winner of the Carolina Crown, contacted me today, and he has some news concerning the winnings.
Is it going to be controversial?
No, this is going to put everything to bed.
It's going to put it all to bed.
Yeah.
He's going to clear the whole scenario, put it out in the open.
That's right. Hey, Mr. Autry, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I hope y'all are.
We are. I apologize for keeping you on hold that long. But you have a little bit of news concerning the Carolina Crown, promoter Cody Summer, and the winnings.
Yes, sir. Last Monday, my car owner was up in the Charlotte area. Cody called him. They got together somewhere probably about 8 o'clock. Cody wrote him a check, and as of this morning, my car owner called me and said it was in the racing account, and we are really now the official winner of the first Carolina Crown.
Well, congratulations after all this, and Cody Summer did what he said he was going to do, so that's good.
Yes, sir. I don't want nobody to have no black cloud over nobody, because between the tires, having a new 2012 tire, and they only had a 2011 sample and all that, having to get worked out, this has just been a big ordeal. But, I'm thinking that he's going to try to promote some more races in the future. And as far as I know, everybody that participated has been paid, and I like to just clear his name of any wrongdoings, because he, as far as I know, has been a man of his word.
That's pretty refreshing, Brian, that you got a driver calling in to say something good about a promoter. That very rarely happens in the internet age.
Yeah, that's probably about as factual as you can get, but it seems like they're starting to do a little bit better, because, as a matter of fact, I got a call from a racing promoter today, and I thought that was a little odd.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it was, somebody actually doing their work and finding people to come out to the racetrack.
Huh.
What do you think about that?
They called you to come. That's pretty cool.
I'm not saying that they just called me. I'm sure they called a whole bunch of other people,
yeah, of
too.
course, yeah.
But, that he was making the effort to make the rounds and make sure that there was people going to be at this big show coming up.
Well, Mr. Autry, what is on the horizon for your race team?
Well, my crowd's wanting to go to Virginia this weekend. I've got some golfing plans that I'm still trying to stick to, but right before I called y'all, one of them called me.
Hold on. Did Mr. Autry just say he had golfing plans?
He did say he had golfing plans.
Oh my gosh! You've just lost all my respect.
Well, now I go.
Oh my gosh! I was a Scott Autry fan, and he's going to go golfing before racing.
You're not believe this crowd. We just race to really just have fun, and when a big race is close by, once in a while, we're attempting to go make it. Very seldom have we went to many races unless they're right in our own backyard. But we followed the Carolina Clash, and they don't have another race till 1st of July or 1st of June. And my crowd's real itchy about racing. In fact, my car owner said he's going to have to send me to driving school by the next time we race. I'm going to be so rusty. But my crowd is really trying to work it up for us to go over there to Virginia. And, if they really want to go that bad, I don't mind it. But I thought we were going to be off, so I made golfing plans. Last week I went fishing, and this week I was going to go with some buddies and play some golf. But if they really want to go to Virginia, I'm all for it. But I hate that you lost your respect for me because we just have a bunch of fun.
I'm just kidding with you, Mr. Autry.
I understand.
Golfing over racing, it's a calculation that just doesn't add up for me.
Well, I don't have no youngins to play T-ball, and I was listening to what y'all was talking about earlier, and I actually went to a ball game with my wife last year to see some youngins in the neighborhood play, and I told one of the kids we were watching, I said, you need to chat at the batter, and my wife said, oh, you can't tell him to do that, and I was thinking, why? We did it. And she said, well, everybody gets to play. There's no losers. I said, well, why would you have a youngin out there playing? Because they don't learn how to get better. Everybody's the same.
That's right.
But, listening to that a while ago, I could probably really make some parents mad in the community because I was always on teams. If you weren't good enough, you sat on the bench until you practiced and got better.
That's right.
They're not going to let me race a race if they don't think I can drive good.
That's all I was saying. Webb. And that he put it better than what I could put it.
But
that's how you get better. You got to have some motivation. Even young kids understand a little motivation.
And the ones that don't get trophies, what the parents ought to do is all chip in and have a cookout and say, when y'all get married, y'all get one of those trophies.
Yeah, they didn't hand out 10 trophies there at the Crown, did they?
No, sir.
It sounds like they didn't hand out checks, Webb.
Well, they finally did.
But everything's worked out good, and I just hope everybody will overlook the ordeal, because, when we were answering questions about getting paid, we were just being truthful. We hadn't been paid yet. But since we got paid, I want everything to be clear because he has stuck to what he says, and if he does it next year, maybe it can even be bigger and better for this area.
Oh, yeah. Cody Summer, acquaintance of mine, I like him a whole bunch, and I'll help him promote anything he needs that he's got going on. And having you on this evening is just a way to not only help you further gain respect, except from Brian Gray because you golf, but everybody else.
I don't have nothing against golf. I said golf over racing.
Oh, okay.
It's a calculation that doesn't figure in my mathematical ability.
You sound just like my car owner. He says, what the world are you even thinking? I said, I'm thinking about having beverages with my buddies out there in Holler and Ford and knocking out some windows.
Now it computes.
But
that sounds like fun. But you can do that on a weekday.
My daddy gets upset because he thinks I'm supposed to work Monday through Friday.
Oh, man, that's exactly right. What you're supposed to do is work Monday through Friday. I forgot about that.
But as far as I'm concerned, if Cody wants me to help him promote or anybody that hasn't heard anything about what's happening, I'm all for trying to help him make that race bigger and better because he's not done no wrong doing it to me.
Well, if he puts it on again next year, everybody take note. Make sure that you order your tires from American Racer the day before the race.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, I have learned a lot since that race. I really have. But I'm hoping next year, whoever wins, they can just enjoy it from the time they win it throughout the rest of the year. But, everything ain't perfect, so you just have to deal with it.
Well, I appreciate you calling us back, Mr. Autry, letting us know that all that happened, and we'll keep tabs on you and have you on again sometime.
I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate y'all asking me to be on these couple of times.
No, not a problem, sir.
Y'all have a good one now. See you around.
Mr. Scott Autry, the official winner of the Carolina Crown. That thing is finally put to rest, put to bed. All right,
Done.
Let's take a little bit of a break. And I'm going to try to get a hold of our second guest. He hasn't called in yet, but we're going to take a break here on In the Dirt.
Yep. They're all saying it's echoing.
It's not echoing now, is it? Yeah, it still is.
Probably.
Well, all right. Well, welcome to the program. Our next guest is Randy. You with us?
I got you.
Mr. Randy Lajoie. He has come up with a seating apparatus to help keep drivers safe. Randy, tell us the importance of an enclosed seating system like you have and like so many others have inside these race cars when it comes to rollovers and driver protection.
Well, one of the things, Webb, and thanks for having me on, is what we've seen pre-Earnhardt's death was a lot of movement in the race cars, whether it was belt locations, seats not being strong, 4 or 5 guys on NASCAR side had gotten killed by movement, whether it was head and neck not being restricted. So with all the investigations, and NASCAR has done a fabulous job with those safer barriers and really made everybody pay attention to the seats had to be stronger, the belt system had to be mounted correctly, the head and neck restraints should be, if somebody's climbing into a vehicle that has restraints, they should have a head and neck restraint system. And the less movement that the guys are doing inside the cars, the more these guys are jumping out of the cars and getting to race another day.
That's right. And I've known you for a few years now, and one of the things that impresses me about you and your company is that you actually go to the racetrack and point out to the drivers what they're lacking in their own vehicle. Now, tell me, what are some of the points you guys look at when you look at a racer's car? What are some of the things that are blatant that stand out to you right away?
Well, a lot of it is incorrectly mounted seats and seat belts, or not having enough of them. Maybe they just have the lap belts and the shoulder belts. They don't have a 6-point system, a 5-point system, even a 7-point system. And that's at least a 7-point system in anybody's race car will definitely help their whole situation. It helps with neck loads. A lot of the tensions that we see with our neck are because of our hips. They started the hips. When you control the hips, you can control the neck if you have a head and neck restraint system. So just the least amount of movement, the strength of everything, location. Guys, it's hard to get in and out of these race cars. And when you start containing the drivers, that's another issue we've been looking at, is trying to help with the chassis builders. Hey, guys, if I protect this guy that he needs to be protected, he can't get in and out of a car. And that's really no good either, because I don't want to see anybody burned up or are hurt because they can't get out. So the egress of the driver is the next best step that's going to happen.
Now, this gentleman we had on prior to you, Robby Hensley, had a horrific rollover at Florence Speedway up in Kentucky. And he mentioned that he had a raised roof. In your opinion, that's something you would recommend to anybody of a certain height, over a certain height, right?
Well, I mean, more room is better. At the end of the day, I mean, if they should have a minimum, and the minimum should be taller than the raised one. I can tell you that. You know, it's not going to hurt them to get that roof up, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches above the driver's head, because, you know, that's how much everything moves. I mean, if you're in a rollover, your helmet is going to move 2.5, 3 inches, you know, because of belt stretch, because your body stretches. So why would you want to hit your head on something? That's one of the things that I'm looking at is if you had plenty of room up around your head, that's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah. And
another area, Webb, Mr. Lajoie, maybe you can give us a little more insight on, is that it does make a difference what belt you put in the car. Anytime, if somebody still has a set of nylon seat belts, I mean, nylon, you don't need nylon in any vehicle, especially a racing vehicle. That's a 22% stretch compared to the polyester belts, which are 8 to 12% stretch. So you're always going to have stretch, but limit yourself. Instead of, you know, looking into the carburetor, you're just kind of looking over the dashboard.
There was I have some connections over in South Africa in the racing community, and there was a driver there. It was a local legend, many championships over. He got into somebody else's car and hit the wall. Come to find out, the seat belts were mounted to the four-pane. So,
and what happened to him?
Oh, he passed.
Oh boy, yeah, correct. I mean, one of the things that when I go around the racetracks, it's called the Safer Racer Tour. We visited probably 75 racetracks in the last 5 years. Number one, I'm a race fan. I enjoy going to see good races, but I also do not want to read about people getting hurt because they didn't know the information. So, if I do a deal with the sanctioning body and I could be there at their inspection station and I can look at the cars as they come through, or myself or one of my guys, we walk around the pits and look at every car. And I'll give the person a report card of what I think. And sometimes my presentation's not the right way, and I might not make a fan or two. But it's something that I will tell you if I see something wrong, that's for sure.
Well, like we talked offline for a brief when I talked to you this morning. When I think safety, we were one of the first guys that pops into my head. What's been new with the seat and the company?
Well, we come up with a new seat. It's a Diamond Series seat. It's $1,150 seat. It's built mainly for the dirt guys. Fits very well in the modified. In a late model, got lots of guys did a couple years worth of testing. Don O'Neill's won about everything this year. He's in one. We got Bloomquist. He tried one in Florida. So, there's a lot of guys just looking to pay a lot more attention to, number one, being comfortable. I mean, that's one of the things that I hear the most is the way my seat is formed to your butt, that your hips don't move. And that's because it's a round, stamped aluminum piece compared to a square seat. Everybody else is putting a round plug into a square hole, and it doesn't fit as well as a round plug in a round hole. So, everybody really raves about the way the butt feels. It wraps your lower torso. It puts a lot of pressure on your hips, so your hips aren't moving. Your pelvis feels good. So everybody is different, too. That's one of the things that I've noticed is it's hard to build one seat for two different people because everybody is different. And a 15-inch seat is not going to fit everybody correctly. And that's what I'm up against is my most accustomed guys because I'd rather have a fit a whole lot better than a square seat.
That's right. Well, Randy, before we let you go, put out your website and what tracks or whatever you might be appearing at, and somebody can come up and get a report card on their safety equipment.
Well, I'm thinking about following the Hell Tour, a couple races, or maybe a week. We do the Ray Cook Southern Nationals Tour. And right now, I think we might hit USMTS again in August. So the website's thejoyofseating.com. That's JOIE of seating.com. And any information that you need, feel free to call us.
Randy, I certainly appreciate your time this evening. You've helped me out over the last couple of years, a little here and there, so appreciate your time, sir, and maybe I'll get to talk to you again.
Okay, thanks, Webb. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Randy's one of the coolest dudes in racing. And I've only maybe been around him like 4 times, and each time he's like, "Hey, Mr. Green Valley, how you doing?"
That's
I'm
pretty
like,
funny.
I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's like this morning I called him. I felt like I had to tell him exactly who I was, and told him what I was doing. And he's like, "Yeah, let's get the details, Mr. Green Valley. What you need?" I was like, "Okay." So anyway, Randy's a good dude. I like him.
And not to mention that he's a former NASCAR champion.
Well, he had 111. The numbers on the board didn't show his number, so yeah, I didn't introduce him properly. And here, I'll do it now. Welcome to the program, 2-time Busch Series for all the old school people, or Nationwide Series champion, ESPN NASCAR analyst, Randy Lajoie.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's what should have happened.
Yeah. You were just starstruck.
No, I wasn't. I was really startled because everything was screwing up. My phone.
Starstruck by Randy Lajoie.
Oh.
Now we got a guy coming on here in a second that I really want to hear from. Because I love his product.
Mr. Jim Highland?
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring Mr. Jim Highland on. And
this is Jim Highland.
Mr. Highland, welcome to In the Dirt. This is Webb Dillard. I have Brian Gray on the. He's my co-host.
How's it going, Mr. Highland?
Oh, fantastic! Thanks for having me.
I have a problem with cutting Webb off from now and then. Now, time to time.
Okay. I understand.
Well, Mr. Highland, your company, Bill Stein. Oh, let's get this out of the way first. Bill Steen or Bill Stein?
Bill Stein.
It's been pronounced every which way.
Absolutely, and if you use our product and win races, you can pronounce it any way you want.
Well, no secret, I'm affiliated with Neesmith as their media director, and we met at East Bay. You guys are a sponsor, of course, with Neesmith. We are. You guys have developed with our series a very, very interesting product. And I'll start you out by saying $135 shots. Go.
That's correct. I've been with Bill Stein for 22 years, and from experience, I knew that we could build anything we needed to build to make a dirt late model team fast. So I wanted to build a set of sealed up steel, non-adjustable Bill Stein shocks that would be just as fast or faster than all of the double adjustable base valve, super throwdown shocks that are on the market today. And David Earl Gentry gave us a chance to do that down at East Bay. So the results were pretty well. We set fast time, I think the fastest qualifying lap that anybody ran the whole time we were there. And David ran second in the feature one night, and then since then has won a tour race at Albany, Georgia, where he started ninth and drove past 8 sets of very expensive shots.
That is a true story. I was there to witness that. Well, and
I love stories like that too, because people look at me when I talk about my steel Bill Steins, and I just shrug them off and say, "Yep, you'll find out." And we got to win on those steel Bill Steins.
Oh, absolutely, and
so I can pronounce it Bill Stein.
That's either way. No. You guys are probably aware that a Neesmith racer named Mark Tice from Greenville, Mississippi, took off his double adjustable canister shocks of another brand put a set of Bilstein sealed spec shocks on for $135 a piece, and has already won 2 A mains this year.
Yeah, he's got 2 races, and I had him on the Neesmith produced show that I do, and his comments were he just felt the car better, and he didn't feel the car better in one particular instance. It was throughout the whole race, he said.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there was no change in them, and that leads me to believe there might be a change in the other shops.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. It depends on how the other shocks are built. It depends on how the racer is maintaining his double adjustable shocks. I know a lot of times I see guys with high buck shocks, and I realize right away they're not properly maintained, and they don't have the right amount of gas pressure in them. And you know, if you don't have them just right, I mean, you're going to get some shock fade. With ours, there's no gas valve there. You don't have to check the gas pressure, and therefore you're not going to run a race with no gas pressure in your shocks. They don't fade. Our valve stacks are the highest quality spring steel shims in the shock industry, so the valvings don't change over time. They don't change during the race. And while you can wreck the shocks and break them, you probably won't wear them out. So they're going to save the racers a lot of money, and that's what's behind this whole project.
Now, Jim, what's your level of expertise with Bilstein?
I can just say I've been to a lot of races, and I've been out in the field for 22 years, and built a lot of shocks, and I know that valve stacks, make us fast. I'm constantly looking for new ways to take advantage of the car suspensions, and I was doing a little bit of R&D, trying to be faster all the time.
So it's pretty good to say that you know your stuff when it comes to the shock. So I got a question, and this is one that a lot of people come and argue about, and there's different people have different opinions about this or that. When it comes to an adjustable shock versus a fixed valve shock, which shock do you think is going to be your most consistent, most reliable piece?
Oh, absolutely, the non-adjustable shock. And if I can say this about the adjustable shocks, back when rules makers were first faced with seeing guys spend $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000, now $1,200 per shock for a set of shock absorbers, the rules makers were led to believe that this is not going to be a big expense for the racer, because the argument was, I can use this set of shocks to go to any track, and now I only need one set of shocks. Well, that's not true, because as all of the racers that have those kinds of shocks now will tell you, they have a set of shocks for a slick track, a set of shocks for a hooked up track, and at least one set of shocks for when it's in between. So the investment becomes very, very large, because what you really want an adjustable shock for is to tweak the valving slightly to get it exactly right. So you need the same number of shocks, even if you use adjustable shocks. And it's a lot easier to get right on the money, honestly, with a fixed shock. Because most guys don't have the expertise to tune their shocks at the track unless they have a shock guru with them.
Now you have answered my argument. I feel like I'm actually knowledgeable. That was exact. And just so that everybody knows, Bilstein has adjustable shocks too. You can get them either way and or whatever.
Listen, we have a double adjustable through the shaft set of shocks that are just fantastic, and we can get you up in the price range of $8,600 a set.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably don't need those. At least David Gentry doesn't need them.
Well, that's my next question. It would be, what does this do to the shock game, especially in the economy we're in and we're going to be in for the foreseeable future? What's it do? I mean, have you guys gotten death threats yet?
I don't know. It's going to change things, but some things need to change, and that's kind of how we were called into this battle, was because people were able to see that high buck shocks were actually causing car counts to fade away, just like high dollar expenditures in racing eventually take any field. So what they wanted to do was get on the front side of this wave and stem the tide and keep people racing.
And plus, I think this it's genius in a way, Webb, because eventually people are going to realize that they don't need all that stuff. Eventually they're going to get to the point where they say, "What was I spending all this money on all this time?" So you guys are a step ahead of the game, so to speak.
Sure. And that's what we're trying to do, and kind of had an inkling this might work out this way after I had tested last year with two different super late model teams that had high buck shocks, and we were able to build each team a set of shocks that actually made them faster than they were. And so, I'm just very thankful to Mike Vaughn and Tim Sims at Neesmith Series for giving us this opportunity to prove the point.
Well, I don't think it's the last we're going to hear of your guys' shocks in Victor Lane. Not with the guys you guys are working with.
No, we've got a good crew. Now, do you know about the series within the series?
Now, I do know we have the 525 coming out next year. Or you must be talking about something out of my realm of knowledge, because I'm not sure.
Well, this year, we're going to have 10 different Neesmith Series drivers that will commit to run the 10-shock Bilstein package. I think the first race will be the Memorial Day weekend shows. I think at Hattiesburg, Wynot, and Magnolia. And the 10 drivers will be competing for a $5,000 fund that will go to the top 5 in the Bilstein Bandit point standings. And that's in addition to all the money they race for regularly in the series.
Have those 10 drivers been announced?
They have not.
Well, we will just have to have you on the Touring Series podcast, and we'll get these. We'll have an update on that little series within the series.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to that.
Before we let you go, how can a driver out there get their hands on these shocks, and what's the website they can go to? The shocks themselves are available just through the Neesmith Series, the package. And by the way, I'll further explain this if I've got time. Yes, sir. All time in the world.
The 10 Bilstein Bandits that we start with will have shocks that will have a snap ring that holds the rod guide in, and conceivably those shocks could be taken apart and tampered with, which will be against the rules. Now, we are going to do a production run of shocks from our plant in Hamilton, Ohio, that will be have a crimp around the rod guide so that you can't take them apart. We at Bilstein won't be able to take them apart, and therefore the shocks that the first 10 Bilstein Bandits have will be illegal. So what we are going to do as a company is we're going to give that first 10 racers a free set of the 10 shocks in the kit, and they can keep the ones they purchased in order that they purchased to be part of the Bilstein Bandits, and then they can sell them to another team that is not in the Bilstein or the Neesmith rules. I've got an echo here that's coming back in my ear. That's what's causing me to pause.
We've been fighting it all night. We don't know what it is, and I apologize.
No, it's okay.
The platform that we use is a different problem every week. So we can't address one problem. It's always a potpourri of problems. So
that's what my way of apologizing for my speech.
That's fine. Was that the?
So those shocks are going to be produced right up here in my backyard in Hamilton.
In Hamilton, Ohio, you betcha.
Awesome.
That is probably the most advanced shock absorber production line in the world.
Daggone, see, Webb, I know what I'm talking about, dude.
I should never doubt you.
I just love it when guys come on and justify what I've been trying to tell these morons.
Well,
see, that's why I get so much crap, Mr. Highland. I just have to shove it down people's throats.
Well, listen, you should point out Joey Kramer won Saturday night over there at Lawrenceburg on a set of Bilstein, so I think we won a couple of races at Florence so far this year. So,
see, I need to get over there. I need to get over there and get some more of these things. I've been running the Steel SN series for like 3 or 4 years now. I got a guy, you probably know who I'm talking about, up in the northern part of Ohio at AccuForce.
I know that guy.
Mr. Keith
he's
Burner.
pretty smart.
And he has helped me out tremendously.
No, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Highland, I thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to your own echo. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
You guys will be at the Mississippi Swing here coming up in a couple weeks.
I'll be at Why Not in Magnolia.
All right. Well, we'll definitely touch base with you there. Anybody has any questions concerning the $135 shocks from Bill Stein, you can go to NeSmithRacing.com, call Tim Sims. He's our tech guy. Call any of the guys listed in contacts, and we'll get you in touch with the Bill Stein people and get you on a set of these shocks that are going to revolutionize the guys racing out of their own pockets. I think it's going to make bring back some racers and keep a lot of guys in cars. So I applaud you guys, Mr. Highland.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciate it.
And Mr. Highland, before you go, what's the chances Hollywood Brian Gray can get a set of them shocks? I mean, they're gonna. I can be there in like 5 minutes.
Well, you just have to,
what time do they get in the morning? Let me know what time they get in the morning. I'll be there. I'll help them do whatever needs to be done.
I think Tim Sims is going to take delivery of a whole bunch of shocks on Friday morning. So be there.
So I need to be there on Friday morning this week.
Absolutely. You betcha.
All right. I'm going to walk into the front door and say, Mr. Highland said that there's some shocks here for me.
Oh, goodness. Here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Highland.
All right.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Got me a set of shocks.
Well, that's on you. You try. You try it if you have to.
I'm going to walk in there Friday morning and say, yeah, Tim Sims coming to get some shocks, and Mr. Highland said you had a set here for me, 10 special shocks for NeSmith cars.
Well, let's bring our last.
Work?
If you drive your car there.
It's got Bill Stein. They'll say it's already got Bill Steins on it.
Just say you need new ones.
Yeah, trade you.
Well, all right, let's welcome our final guest to the program, Mr. Gordon Bernzott. And he is a car owner. His driver is Tom Webster. Gordon, you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm right here.
Sorry, you're going to notice an echo. And we certainly apologize for that. We don't know what is causing that. So
that's the joy of being on Blog Talk Radio servers on Monday and prime time.
How you all fellas doing tonight?
We had Mr. Robby Hensley on talking about his role over there at Florence, and then Randy Lajoie joined us talking about seat safety, car safety. Gordon. We just had a Bill Stein representative on Mr. Jim Highland talking about $135 shocks. What would that do for your program?
Oh, that'd help us out a ton because we've been running the AFCO non-adjustables, and they've been working pretty good. But see, back in the day when I raced the figure 8 car on Long Island, that's all I ever used was Bilsteins. Dennis from Oval Speed, that's pretty much all he sells is non-adjustable Bilsteins, and I just loved the service. I mean, it was 2 days. If I broke a shock, right back to me, and it was the same shock I sent him. It wasn't nothing, no funny valving changes or anything like that, which I was very happy with that. You know, and it would definitely bring the price of the shock package down. And the way I think I took it from him was that, you know, them double adjustables, they don't get you like, you really need 3 sets of shocks. You need a rough track set, a base set, and a black slick set.
That's right.
And if them double adjustables don't get you the 3 sets that you need.
No, you got to find your setups, right?
Right.
Well, and see, the thing about it, Webb, is that they get you close, and then it allows you to fine tune to a, you know, what I've always been told is that the double adjustable shocks are to figure out what fixed valve shock you need.
Right.
And so that's my whole thing.
But
hey, if these guys think they need those double adjustable shocks, please spend your money on double adjustable shocks because you are.
They can give it to me. I'll spend it on tires.
Yeah, that's it.
Before we get too far away from what Gordon, now you came to the sport of dirt late model racing. You mentioned you lived in Long Island.
Yes, I did.
And we talked a little bit prior to you coming on this evening. And tell the story about when you got to Florence, about the people that told you about the racetrack there.
Okay. Here's how that story goes. My aunt and uncle have lived on the other side of the mountain from Florence Speedway for 30 years. And they kept telling me about this great racetrack that they got in their backyard. But the problem was they never set foot on the property. And in 2001, I moved from Long Island, New York to here with my pavement late model and all the spare parts. And I never set foot on the property until I got my house bought and all moved in and all that. Well, they take me over there, and I stepped up to the wall and said, okay, where do you expect me to race? And they pointed to the infield. And I said, well, there's a problem. I've got a pavement car. This is dirt. And their expression to me was, well, ain't they the same? And I'm like, no, not even close.
Hey, you can get out there and drive it around. We used to take pavement cars and go over there and run it at Florence.
Well, Brian, I'll tell you what I did, and this is God's honest truth. I took that Hal pavement late model car and mounted a dirt body on it, and I raced it at Florence Speedway the first year I raced. And I got 2 17th place finishes with that car, with the super dirt late models.
I got a cousin that races a. I got a cousin of mine that races a Rayburn in the International Outlaw Figure 8 series.
Right.
And my other cousin tells me he couldn't drive a regular asphalt car to save his life, and he said the dirt car keeps him racing on asphalt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different deal. I mean, J-bars are mounted differently. The torque arms, they don't run shocks on torque arms. They run biscuit links, and it's altogether crazily different. But I love this dirt late model stuff. I took to it. Yeah, I don't have the most expensive car out there, and I ain't got the biggest motor and all that. But you know what? We go out and have fun, So... But,
how did you get to be a car owner versus a racer?
Well, the work just became too much for me to handle all by myself. And Tom Webster happened to be walking past my house one day. He used to drive the number 88 modified over at Lawrenceburg in Florence. And he said, hey, you need some help? And I said, well, yeah, I do. And I said, if you want to drive it and I'm getting help, then that'll be working fine for me. So that's how we got into the driver-owner deal.
And you guys race primarily at?
Florence and Mower.
But you guys did go off to, you said Richmond Speedway?
Yes, we went down to Richmond in 2010. We did a a 3-day weekend deal. We did Moeller on Friday night, Richmond on Saturday, and then we ran Twin Cities on Sunday. So we did a trifecta that weekend. And we raced that Nazareth deal and finished 5th in the heat race, and we finished 12th in the feature up there. Or sat down there, I should say. So,
you guys don't have the biggest motor and whatnot. You know, the 525 is becoming a kind of a popular alternative. Is that something you guys are thinking about?
Yes, definitely. Last year, I had to sit down with C.J. Rayburn because I had to buy a bunch of parts. We had an incident at Moeller, and we got hit in the right front wheel and bent the front clip, and we needed some spindles and stuff like that. So we went up to C.J.'s place, and him and I sat down, and we were talking about that 525 deal, and he was just pretty much getting it started. And I'm thinking about going that route because, I've got an iron block, iron head 380 motor in the car now, and it does all right. It's not setting the world on fire, but it's reliable. We've had it for 2 seasons in the car, and we can't kill it. So
now, you really can't. I mean, there's guys. We talked to Jim Moon last week, who's got so many 100 races. He says on his motor, his 525. Ronnie Johnson down south, who got that 75 or 80 races on his motor. The price is right. It keeps you racing. It's just kind of a no-brainer for smaller teams.
Yeah. The weight is right for me, Webb, and I'm kind of now. I'm still not. I've got a different thought process for crates. You understand that?
Yeah.
But
ain't you running an iron block, iron head motor now, Brian?
Yeah, that's what I've got. That's all I've got to run because and I had an aluminum engine, and those guys, and that was the first time I had an aluminum motor in that car, by the way. And people say it'll steer a little better with that steel motor in it. You'll be okay. Just hammer down. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever. I run 25 laps the other night at Moeller and take for granted that the left front frame horn is all bent off, but oh man.
Yeah, well, you kind of had an incident with the tires on the infield, didn't you?
Oh man, I did, and I feel like an idiot. But you know what? At the same time, I honestly, Gordon, I didn't know that those big. Here's the thing, Webb. Let me explain myself first because this is a story in itself.
I don't know what happened. You hit the Ute tires or something?
Yeah, they got big Ute tires out there. They didn't have them out there last year, and I don't remember. They might have been there a few weeks ago, but it don't matter. Here's the thing. I would go out in hot laps, and the tires are in one spot, and I'm running hot laps, and I'm finding where I need to be, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? Right. So we go out, and we run the heat race. Now, I start on the outside. I think I was on the outside of the second row. Wherever I was at, I was on the outside. We take the green flag. We did not get no parade lap or nothing. We pull out on the front stretch. The lights go out. We're going green as soon as we hit the next corner. Okay? So by the time I get down to the bottom, lo and behold, I go and I enter that corner just like I always do. Like, I don't know, I just got, I had a certain place that I drive the car. And I drove it down into the corner, and daggone it, there's a big-ass tire right in front of me, and there wasn't nothing I could do but just lay in the gas and hope it moved out of the way.
Yeah.
And I'm cutting the frame horn. I'm cutting the frame rail off this week. Actually, Michael and them are cutting it off right now as we speak.
Well, Brian, I'll tell you why they decided to put them tires down there.
They took my groove away is why they done it.
Yeah. Well,
because
2 years
nobody
ago,
else can run down there on the bottom like the Hollywood Gray can.
Well, the reason why they put them tires there at Moeller is, again, 2 years ago, we had an incident there with Mr. Tim Prince. He decided to exit the racetrack right at the starter stand, and then he decided to enter the racetrack in the middle of turn 2. And needless to say, we were the lead car, and Jim Price in the 51 was on the outside of us. And he drove into the left front wheel of that car and damn near broke Tom's wrist in the interim. But he drove us up into the Tim Price's car in the 51, Jim Price rather, and bent a bunch of stuff in the front of the car. And I'll tell you, Mike, the race coordinator over there, he was pretty good to us. He come over to me and he says, "You guys going to be ready for the feature?" Because we ended up finishing 5th in that heat race anyway, even with the front end whacked way out. And I said, "Yeah." Well, he went over to Tim Prince and said, "Look, take your stuff, load it in your trailer, and don't come back. Because we're not going to have cars going across the infield and coming back on the racetrack on the other side." And that's why they decided to put them tires in.
I wish they'd get rid of them still.
Yeah. At that, you can thank Tim Prince for that.
Or at least, at some point, I mean, I don't care if they're there, just get them away from the racing group.
Y'all remember what Clanton said about them kind of tires?
Clanton about killed himself because of one of them tires.
Right.
Yeah, I happened to be the one that got that footage, and he hit a ton into the outside retain.
And he didn't hit the tire a ton. He just clipped the tire enough to tear the steering out of his car.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And drilled the wall.
Drilled. Like a hammer drill.
Yeah.
Well, Gordon, before we let you go this evening, you told me offline that you may or may not have a story about Mr. Gray.
Well, that was the story about him hitting that tire there, and feel kind of bad for you, buddy, but
I felt like an idiot.
They're kind of big and black, and I know there's a Brian Gray groove at the bottom, but
Yeah, and like I said before, I was the idiot that drove into it. I get that. I've always been told since I was the first time I ever raced a go-kart was you don't look over the front of the car. You got to be looking towards the next corner of the track.
That's right.
I think I threw all that out the window.
That's right.
Well,
it's just like figure 8 racing. You got to look across the racetrack in the other corner to see who's coming at you. Because if he's faster than you are, you're all going to meet at the X, and it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah, well, that tell you what, that figure 8 racing, that is not for me. I get terrified just watching it.
I took
my anxiety is through the roof just watching those cars go through the middle, and I'm sure Webb being from Indy up at the Speedrome, you've probably seen some interesting figure 8 races.
Yeah, let me just tell you about taking my wife. She went back in September, well documented. I got to turn some laps there at Speedrome, but my wife and my daughter were in the stands. So after I looked like an idiot in a Honda Accord for 15 laps. Anyway, we watched the figure 8 race there. It was the tuner. It was the hour-long race tune-up for the 3-hour, which was the next weekend, the World Championship deal. And my wife sat there, and I figured it was time to go as soon as I was done. And she said, "Well, let's watch a couple laps of this." She made more. Now, you got to know, she's from rural Alabama, so it's either stock car racing or drag racing. And she must have said, "Ooh, ah, oh, Jiminy Christmas, holy crap." I mean, she said everything under the sun watching these guys. And so I have to take her back to another. She thoroughly enjoyed it.
Because those guys absolutely are all balls and no brains at all.
Some brains, but not much. Yeah. I got hit at the X once in the right rear wheel, and I spun like 5 times before I ended up against the wall. And I swear I only spun twice, but they told me it was 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first time I ever seen one was up at Kilcare Speedway in Xenia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, Webb, those guys never lifted. There was nothing calculated about it. Nothing. It was just wide open, through the middle. Yeah. And if they hit somebody, they hit somebody, and if they didn't, I guess, it was like Russian roulette for 100 laps.
It is definitely it's a form of motorsports. It's something I don't think that I'd ever participate in. But it's fun to watch.
And we're talking about the pro. I've seen like the regular figure 8s with street stocks or whatever. No, I'm talking about those pro figure 8 cars. Now that right there will have you if you don't cringe 50 times in that 100 laps, there's something wrong.
Now, Speed World in Buffalo, Florida, right outside Orlando, right outside the Space Coast, they run a $1 million figure 8 race with new cars, like Corvettes and Mustangs.
Right.
You got to see that.
Wow.
Yeah, see, our cars were, they were Hal perimeter cars with, ABC bodies on them, and they were full bumper covers on both ends and 10-inch tires, 10-inch slicks on them. 400 horsepower motors, they'd get 90 mile an hour going across that X. I mean, they weren't slow by no means.
Well, according to Tony Stewart, they need to turn Talladega Super Speedway into a figure 8 race.
Yeah.
Well, Gordon, I appreciate you guys coming on this evening. Getting introduced.
I'm glad to be. Glad to be on with y'all.
We like to introduce as many drivers as possible, not just the big names. Everybody's welcome here on the program. Before we let you go, thank some of your sponsors and any of the guys that help keep your car together and running the races every week. Well,
first of all, I got to thank Tom Webster. Without him, this wouldn't be possible to get the car ready every week. I have to thank Dan Kennedy over at JT's Performance in Dillsboro, Indiana. He does all my machine work on my motors. And C.J. Rayburn, because, right now we're running that Rayburn car steady, and eventually we'll have that Larry Shaw car together. It's getting there, so. And that's all I got to thank. Other than that, and thank you all for being on your show.
Not a problem, dude. Where are you guys going to be? They catch you at Florence and at Moeller?
Yes. I'm hoping to be at Moeller Friday night and then Florence on Saturday.
All right. Well, help my buddy Brian there know where them tires at next time.
We're going to have to get some flashlights, guys up there, or laser pointers, so that they can tell me where to be.
There you go.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, Gordon.
Oh, you're welcome, and have a good night, guys.
Bye. Well, Brian, we've come to an end of another program.
The end of another one.
This echo thing is killing me.
Well, they're saying that it's echoing out in the on the broadcast too. So I don't know what's going on with it, Webb.
What we're going to have to do probably is find us a home and just pre-record everything. And then put it out at 6 o'clock on Mondays and be done with it.
I like the live thing, dude.
I do too, but Blog Talk...
We can sit here and drink some water.
But Blog Talk, mixed with hops. But Blog Talk is found about 15 ways to screw us.
I know.
So I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to thank the guest that endured with us this evening, Mr. Robby Hensley. Glad he's back on track. He's got his health. The Rocket race car protected him. His seat protected him, and I'm glad he got convinced to get the head and neck restraint. That really was something everybody should have.
Getting the guys into the containment seats is a pretty hard first step, really.
Leading into thanking Mr. Randy Lajoie, two-time Busch Series champion, ESPN analyst, coming on to talk about his seats. And the thing about Randy is he really is concerned with safety. Yeah, he has a product, but I've been around him a few times. I've been around him and talked with him. Safety is what he really preaches, and he's got a good product, just like everybody. All seats out there are I'm sure, built with safety in mind. I'd like to thank Mr. Jim Highland coming on from Bill Stein. And he said if you win in the shots, you can call it Bill Steen.
Bill Stein. Is it Bill Stein?
Bill Stein is the correct pronunciation.
Bill Stein is the correct.
Correct. You also pronounce correct.
Right.
Okay, so try that again.
That was close. Correct.
Well, think this. Bierstein is not Bierstein.
Bierstein, that's correct. That's right.
There you go. So, Bill Stein.
Bill Stein.
See? Drinking beer has...
Bierstein.
Yeah, drinking beer makes you smart.
You know what? Somebody else told me that today.
It does.
Was that some kind of like Dateline episode?
I believe it was. This is Webb Dillard with Dateline. Have a beer? I also like to thank Mr. Gordon Bernzott for coming on. I didn't know that your tire story was his story.
Well,
I
knew somebody had to. I can't. Well, and I've been putting up on asking molars to get rid of the tires and this and that, blah blah blah. I still, even if I didn't hit them, I have been saying those. I can't believe they put them tires out there. and honestly, I really don't care if the tires are there. It really bothers me either way. I really don't think they should be there because it's going to tear up somebody's stuff instead of them going down in through the infield. Somebody goes down in there and hits one of them tires, and I'm telling you, dude, you see my car, it's jacked.
Well, you can tell me what promoter called you before we get off here?
Rocky Estep from the ADRA, promoting the Freedom Fighters 50 at Moeller Raceway Park next Friday.
Cool, that's cool. He just called to make sure you guys were coming.
He called and asked if we were going to make the show and explained to me how everything was going to go and that they weren't playing, favors to anybody because they were concerned about cherry pickers.
Cherry pickers, that's an interesting term because somebody just sent that to me on Facebook concerning a Hell Tour driver. And I won't say no more to our listener who sent me that. Hell Tour coming up. There's cherry pickers on that.
Yep. Freedom Fighters race at Moeller Raceway Park Friday. I got it right that time. I think it's actually a 40-lapper.
I got 3 40-lappers 2 weeks ago, too. 3 in a row. 3 nights in a row.
I'm sure we'll see the Salt Rock Express, Eddie Carrier Jr. out there.
He's picking up some steam here lately.
Well, I think isn't he recovering from some kind of injury or something?
Well, I knew he'd gotten into an automobile accident privately, like out as a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we're going to shut this thing down. I don't want to strain it any longer. The echo's starting to kill me. So next week we're going to put together a show on the Michigan Modifieds. I've got 4 drivers. I already talked to them. We'll get them on, and we're going to talk. I think it's called the Michigan Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But that ought to be good. So any open wheel guys out there, listen up next week. We're going to have another all open wheel show and talk to a group of guys out of Michigan and what makes their brand of racing so interesting to them up there. So, Brian Gray, any closing words?
I'm going to be at Bill Stein on Friday morning. Y'all can come down. I'm going to try to get me some shocks, dude.
Just make you a fake D-Smith ID.
No, I want to go down there and just start throwing some names out and see how far it gets me.
Don't say Webb Dillard.
I'm not going to say Webb Dillard. I'm not going to say In the Dirt.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm going to say, hey, I talked to Jim Highland on Monday. And, told me to come down here and see Mr. Tim Sims. He's getting a big delivery of shocks, and we're going to get me a set of them dudes.
Will you let me know how that turns out?
I will let you know. I might go down there tomorrow morning, get my place in line.
Because, there'll be races down there camping.
Yeah.
I would be.
I'm just glad that, I was vindicated on my shock valve, and I hope that the guys, there are certain people out there that know who I'm talking about, that wanted to argue with me. I think Mr. Jim Highland knows a little bit more than you.